Martian Manhunter is arguably the most underrated and underappreciated member of the Justice League, as it seems more often than not he gets omitted from a lot of more recent depictions of the team, despite the fact he's been a founding member since the League's inception in DC Comics. Whether it would be pre or post-crisis continuity, he was the one constant in any iteration of the Justice League. He a trooper for real. He'd been in many versions of the roster, especially with the mainstream push of the DCAU, which I'd assume is a lot of people's ideal Justice League lineup, but for whatever reason, they decided to replace him with Cyborg as one of the 7 founding members of the team during the New 52. I mess with Cyborg, but using him to replace Martian Manhunter, an OG since the Silver Age, is some nasty work.
Oh, I guess I forgot my code. They ain't cut me. Yes, they did. They must have cut me. Man.
It's like DC as of late just doesn't take much interest in using the character, as he doesn't have as many adaptations compared to other heroes. Pretty sure he's the only one out of the 7 OG Justice League members that's never had a movie or show in development. Even Cyborg was gonna have a solo film in the DCEU starring Ray Fisher, which is a shame because I think Martian Manhunter has a lot to offer with his role in the Justice League and how his inner conflicts and stories stand out when compared to average DC superheroes. What makes him so compelling has to do with his stance as an alien outcast in a modern society, more so than Superman, as he was raised on Earth while John spent most of his time on Mars. And you get to see him learn over time to spend less time hiding and putting himself out there to help others, alongside some of the early Justice League members in JLA Year 1. He had a completely different set life on Mars, where he spent time with his wife and daughter, but they were taken from him in a tragic accident before he was brought to Earth via a teleportation beam. A unique thing about Martian Manhunter was how when he first came to Earth, television was his window to language and culture on Earth.
So that's not really what I meant. We keep our farm animals in the farm.
What's up, Doc?
This now concludes our broadcasting day.
He spent many years hiding, believing the key to his survival would be to gather information on the motivations of those around him. This is primarily why his main alias is a detective named John Jones. However, he decided to become more of a public figure thanks to the recent acceptance of some of DC's heroes by the general public. Many people would argue he's the heart and soul of the Justice League, as he's able to deeply connect with those around him, being able to understand their feelings or motivations thanks to his advanced telepathy. His personal tragedy and loss of his family on Mars allows him to get the importance of protecting life. Martian Manhunter always seems to be the level-headed and calm one in a wide range of situations.
I'm freezing my butt off and I don't even know the kid, but I know how I'd feel if she was my little girl.
I'll stay up all night if I have to.
I don't care what it takes.
I wish it were me instead of her.
We've got to find her.
Gotta keep looking, no matter how cold it is.
I'm sorry I ran away.
Don't be afraid.
It's her! We found her! She's fine!
His leadership skills have been recognized to a pretty great lengths, especially when he was made as sort of the official coordinator for the expanded roster of the Justice League during the events of Justice League Unlimited, best suited for handing out assignments to specific heroes and using his wisdom to help monitor things in the Watchtower.
But we're gonna have to be organized. Jean will be up here keeping an eye on everything. He'll be the one to decide who's going where and when.
Being a core member of the Justice League has been an integral part of his character, as he puts it as something very important to him and would go to great lengths to preserve the stability of the team as much as possible. Batman was serving as a pseudo-leader for the Justice League International group, but once they were going through with being more of an international league, Batman points out how Martian Manhunter would be best suited to lead that group. More often than not, he gets recognized by other heroes for being very trustworthy and emotionally intelligent enough to deal with a diverse range of conflicts within the League. In the New 52, Amanda Waller wanted her own Justice League of America, a government-sanctioned team that could be relied upon to fight the main Justice League as a contingency if they were to go rogue. She worked with Steve Trevor to assemble a team to combat specific Justice League members, which included Martian Manhunter, Catwoman, Katana, Simon Bass Green Lantern, Vibe, Stargirl, and Hawkman. Despite what the character can offer as being a prominent member of the Justice League, it's sad to say the character peaked with the Justice League Unlimited media. While it was cool to see Martian Manhunter in live action, his presence in the Snyder Cut was kind of unnecessary. His role should have been something built up earlier in the universe, but the whole DCEU should have been executed completely differently, if we're being honest. There's this emotional scene with Martha Kent and Lois Lane talking about their grief over Clark's death and how Lois needs to get back out into the world, only for it to be completely nullified by Martha secretly being Martian Manhunter.
When I saw Mr. Perry, he told me that
You haven't been to work since Clark died?
I can't.
I hear what people say. They talk like they knew him, but they didn't know Clark. And I can't stop them and tell them how proud I am of my son.
We'll never love anybody the way that I love your son. If there's anything you need, I'm here.
There is something you can do for me, honey. Come back to the living.
The world needs you too, Lois.
You ruined it. You ruined it and I'm leaving.
Like, there was no need for that. You have it to be Martha, not a single thing changes. Just save him for the ending or something. Also, I fail to understand why Zack Snyder even bothered to insert the scene where Martian Manhunter talks to Bruce at the end, knowing there wasn't a strong chance of this universe continuing. Cliffhanger ending was so strong, you got an entire cult-like fan base wanting Warner Brothers to restore a dead universe. And since they made that one military guy from Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman Martian Manhunter secretly, you mean to tell me he was just sitting on his ass when Zod came to Earth, or when Doomsday was fighting the Trinity and Superman freaking died, or when Steppenwolf was whooping the Justice League in search for the Mother Box before Superman bodied him in the third act? This man really spent decades in the US military, working his way up to the rank of general, but now decides the world is worth fighting for in a way that requires him to take on the persona of Martian Manhunter. It seems as if writers like to nerf his abilities, as his Martian physiology allows him to have numerous powers and abilities capable of rivaling the likes of Superman. One of the worst cases of this was in the Injustice prequel comic, where he seeps himself into Wonder Woman's body, threatening to cut off the oxygen in her brain. Then she tells Superman to use his heat vision on her, which burns Martian Manhunter alive. Then he just falls onto the ocean and dies. That's it.
That is one big pile of shit.
His weakness to fire is more of a psychological block due to the Guardians of the Universe implementing the weakness as a deterrent for the entire Martian race, as around 20,000 years ago or so, the Martian race was more barbaric and ruthless, and burning Martians were the dominant life form. Martian Manhunter's physical prowess is something that should never be slept on, so much so Superman himself in one of the JLA books noted him as one of the most dangerous beings on the planet. DCAU Martian Manhunter was nothing more than a footnote, just in the background in some projects with nothing to contribute, and he wasn't even a founding member of the Justice League in that iteration either. He was on the same tier of irrelevancy as Hawkman and John Stewart Green Lantern with how little they were used in that universe. I bet. So we got Doomsday running amok. We all know Superman struggled to take him down in the source material, but surely Doomsday would be mollywopped with the combined might of the Justice League. Okay, we got Martian Manhunter. I know he's finna give Doomsday a run for his no, he's just down for the count, I guess. He's burning up and he's done for. Alright, cool, nice job. Oh, what's this? He gets bodied in a single frame in Justice League Dark Apocalypse War and somehow gets brainwashed by Darkseid to be one of his loyal cybernetic servants. Yep, this is some grade A respect for the character right here. Really nice stuff, really good stuff. Some of his other appearances include his role in the Supergirl TV show on the CW Arrowverse, and his appearances very CW, and inevitably they nerfed the ever-living hell out of him since the show would primarily focus on Supergirl's abilities since it's her own show. To be honest, neither of the live-action depictions of Martian Manhunter from the CW or the Snyderverse look that great. They need to get out of here with his King Piccolo from Dragon Ball Evolution looking at. It's most likely due to budget constraints, but it's always weird to see John in the Martian Manhunter suit, but he still has a human face, almost as if he's like Batman or something whenever he's in a base of operations with his mask off. I know it's nitpicky, but I don't see why he would ever do this. That's literally your alien form. They also implemented the character of Miss Martian in Supergirl during the second season, but she had a weird relationship with Martian Manhunter, which was kind of weird for me as a Young Justice viewer.
This is the Martian Manhunter's niece, Miss Martian.
Hi.
Oh, okay, so they seem to be going for a more mentorship type of role for the Arrow. Holy mother of... Obviously, they aren't related in the Arrowverse, nor have any connection before they even met, from what I remember. And they seem to be around the same age. Even in the Young Justice series, they weren't actually related, but he still served as a mentor for Miss Martian, so I'm not sure why they'd go in such a different direction. But it's the CW, so what do you expect? Martian Manhunter undoubtedly deserves more time in the spotlight in any future adaptations of the Justice League. It's almost like something's missing whenever you exclude him from any mainline roster in any continuity seen on the big or silver screen. It might sound a little bit greedy, but it wouldn't hurt to give him a little solo movie, or at the bare minimum a TV show in the DCU. I mean, if you're willing to give Amanda Waller her own spin-off show, then a project about an actual Justice League member shouldn't be too much of an issue, right? Not many average folk know too much about his character or what he has to offer, which is what happens when you don't give characters their proper due or don't even attempt to push them in media the general public consumes. Whether they'll go for a more Justice League International route at first or a more traditional roster, Martian Manhunter has got to be a key member in the DCU. They've been neglecting his character for way too long now.